8 feet of orange and blue flame erupted from the burner with a deafening roar. Vex Core stumbled backward, his scream lost in the noise.
It's a weapon. This human is operating a thermal suppression device.
2 hours earlier, the Veleran Cultural Exchange Office had scheduled a tour of Earth's finest gastronomy, expecting the quiet, controlled heat of their own world. They had never heard of wok hei, the dangerous dance of searing food through an open flame. Now, the envoys were seated at Forum Restaurant's chef counter, directly before a massive black wok.
Welcome, honored guests. Tonight, you will experience the fire of Cantonese cuisine.
The burner beneath the wok remained cold, but its industrial-grade nozzle spoke of hidden fury.
Why would a cooking station need such a fuel feed? This is concerning.
Please, be at ease. The first dish will be ready shortly.
But Vex Core could not be at ease. His eyes kept drifting to the dormant burner, a cold shiver tracing his spine. Christopher reached for the valve. With a single twist, the burner answered with a throaty roar. A pillar of fire shot 8 feet into the air. The heat slapped Vex Core's face like an open palm.
That is not a culinary flame. That is a plasma lance. We need to evacuate.
Wok hei. The breath of the wok. It sears the taste into the meat.
He lifted a plate of sliced beef and tossed it into the inferno with a pair of chopsticks.
No heat shield, no gauntlets. This is a suicide demonstration.
The beef curled and seared midair, then landed back in the wok, smoking and perfectly charred.
The flame bent away from his hand. It evaded his skin on purpose. Directed energy.
The other envoys gasped, but Vex Core remained paralyzed, every instinct screaming a threat. The first plate landed with a sizzle, but Vex Core's mind was already drafting a security breach.
The flame follows a pattern. It avoids the chef's hands like a programmed barrier.
He focused on Christopher's bare forearms, the skin untouched by the inferno licking inches away.
No scorch marks. His eyebrows, they're completely intact. This is deliberate energy redirection.
Christopher added scallops to the wok, the oil flaring as he shook the vessel with practiced ease.
A thermal suppression field. He's demonstrating a directed energy device disguised as a cooking vessel.
He cataloged every move: the flame's curvature, the chef's exposed skin, the lack of flinching.
Coordinated thermal suppression operation. This is a live fire demonstration, not a meal.
His fingers twitched toward his communicator, the words of a formal report forming in his mind.
Weapons violation report. Subject, Earth, Cantonese, wok. Classification, imminent threat.
But Christopher simply plated the scallops, oblivious, and reached for the next ingredient.
I must act. The Galactic Council must know.
With a surreptitious glance at the entranced envoys, Vex Core slipped his communicator free. His blue fingers danced over the translucent pad, the words burning into the report template. The device emitted a low pulse as he pressed send. A weapons violation report, active and in the system. The screen flashed red. Report filed. Priority. Weapons violation. California Antonese wok. Earth. No one noticed. The other Veleran were too busy gasping at the plume of fire and the scent of seared scallops. Christopher added a handful of snow peas to the wok, the pods hissing as they kissed the steel.
Evidence. Every toss, every flame lick. Evidence.
He documented each movement, building a case for the verification team he assumed would soon arrive. And so, while the first dish cooled on the counter, a quiet alarm raced across the void, and Vex Core watched the flames with a heavy stone of duty in his gut. Halfway across the galaxy, the report reached the Galactic Council chamber, flashing urgent on every monitor.
Priority alert. Thermal suppression device disguised as cookware. Threat assessment required.
Dispatcher Veer's holographic face twisted with concern. She flagged it for immediate verification. A verification team was ordered to deploy to Earth, ETA less than 2 hours. Back in Hong Kong, Christopher had moved on to noodles, the doughy ribbons sizzling as they hit the oil.
Noodles now. The flame still parts for his hands. More data for the file.
He whispered notes into his communicator, every detail a nail in the coffin of his case. In the council chamber, The dispatch order was transmitted. A team was en route.
Let them come. The evidence is undeniable.
And so, as Christopher sent a cascade of noodles through the inferno, Vex Corps waited, a sentinel of a war he'd invented, on a staging platform. Orin Tal received the verification order and opened the mission file.
Thermal suppression in a kitchen. Unlikely, but the council protocol demands response.
Back in Hong Kong, the first dish, a platter of seared beef and scallions, was set before the envoys.
A weapon shouldn't smell like this. Rich, smoky. No. Focus on the threat, and let the feeling finish naturally.
He lifted a strip of beef with his chopsticks, the seared edges still glistening. The moment the meat touched his tongue, a shock of flavor flooded his senses.
This is not possible. Food doesn't taste this vibrant. It's a trick.
He forced his face to remain rigid, but his taste buds screamed in rebellion. He jotted a new note: suspect psychotropic compounds in food, requires analysis. And while the other envoys began to eat with delighted murmurs, Vex Corps took a second bite, careful not to smile. The second dish arrived: scallops seared in ginger and spring onion, the edges still crackling from the flame.
The flame still evades him. That is the priority. The taste is incidental. The others are lost in bliss. I must remain objective. The council will see reason.
Christopher shook a basket of gailan into the wok, the vegetables hissing and charring in the blaze to applause from the envoys.
They're all seduced. Only I see the weapon beneath the spectacle. But I must admit, this gailan is extraordinary.
His communicator pulsed on the counter, a silent red strobe. Vex Corps froze, chopsticks midair, the screen read: verification team in transit. ETA 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Just enough time for the meal to end. I must keep my cover. The evidence will speak.
He looked up. Christopher was plating the next dish, the fire's glow reflecting in his calm, dark eyes.
No weapon operator is that serene, unless he's a professional. Doubt it. Doubt it. Doubt it all.
The final dish landed on the counter. Beef chow, fun, ribbons of flat noodles, sizzling from the wok's last kiss of flame.
I should stop cataloging. The evidence is overwhelming, but of what?
Christopher poured jasmine tea into tiny porcelain cups, the floral steam mixing with the lingering scent of seared garlic.
Every bite was peace. This wasn't a weapon test. It was a gift, and I filed a weapons report.
Tears carved silent tracks down Vex Corps' blue cheeks as the other envoys rose to thank Christopher with bows and trembling voices.
It was my honor. The fire is nothing to fear. It only gives flavor.
Vex Corps looked down at his communicator. The countdown still ticked. Verification team inbound.
78 minutes now. The report is immutable. I cannot undo it.
He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, but the tears wouldn't stop. The meal was over. The envoys were satisfied, and somewhere above Earth, a ship was closing in. Vex Corps stared at the retraction template on his communicator. The cursor blinked, waiting.
I could send it. Admit I was wrong. But then the humiliation, my career, my name.
He deleted the draft one character at a time, the retraction dissolving into nothing.
Better to let the team arrive. They'll see the fire, the evasion of Burns. They'll confirm my report.
He tucked the device away just as Christopher approached, a calm smile on his face.
You seemed to enjoy the meal. Can I offer you a little more? Something simple.
More. After all this? Yes, I need to see it again. For evidence.
Vex Corps nodded weakly, and Christopher turned back to the wok station. The valve opened. The burner roared. 8 feet of flame climbed into the air once more.
Let them come. The flame is unmistakable. I will be vindicated.
The other Velarin envoys sat back in their chairs, eyelids heavy, the fire's dance now a lulling memory.
Why does the flame suddenly seem to laugh at me? The team will arrive soon.
Above the neon haze of Hong Kong, the verification team's ship pierced the clouds, engines humming on silent approach. Inside, Orin Tal reviewed the report one final time, his skepticism already hardening into doubt. Vex Corps' communicator updated the countdown Verification team ETA, 12 minutes.
12 minutes. My career, my honor, balanced on a cooking fire.
Christopher wiped down the wok with a steel brush. The scraping sound oddly final in the quiet kitchen. The ship settled onto a landing pad at the Kowloon spaceport. Its engines cooling with a hiss, the ramp lowered, and Oren led his team out into the humid Hong Kong night. Inside, Vex Kor's hands trembled as he set down his teacup, the moment of reckoning upon him. The restaurant door slid open with a soft chime. Oren Tal stepped inside, his team fanning out behind him. His sharp eyes swept the counter. The Lurin envoys slumped in contentment, one pale blue figure, frozen mid-breath.
Vex Core, I presume. You filed a weapons violation report. Show me the weapon.
It's there. The wok, a thermal suppression device. The flame, 8 feet, no protective gear. It bends.
Oren followed the gesture to the massive black wok, still radiating heat. A faint shimmer of oil smoked on its surface.
A cooking vessel. I need more than that. Explain the threat you observed.
The human, he stands in the fire without burns. The flame avoids his skin. It's directed energy. A weapon disguised as cookware.
Where is this human now? I will speak to him.
A door creaked at the back. Christopher emerged, wiping his hands on a towel, his brow furrowed at the sudden uniformed guests. Oren met his eyes, one hand resting on his scanner. The air thickened with the unspoken question of armory versus artistry.
You are the chef? A weapons report was filed on this kitchen. Explain the thermal anomaly.
Thermal anomaly? I cook with a wok burner. It gets hot. That is all.
Hot? The flame is 8 feet tall. It bends around your hands. You have no burns, no gear. It is not normal.
Is this true? You can withstand such flame without protection?
It is technique. The wok is hot. The flame dances. I move quickly. I do not stand in it.
I need to see this. Prepare a dish. I will observe the cooking directly.
Christopher gave a short nod and reached for the valve. The burner ignited with a throaty roar, the flame climbing once more. 8 feet of orange and blue fire pulsed against the hood. Vex Kor flinched, but Oren only narrowed his eyes.
Remarkable. The flame does seem to avoid direct contact with his skin. But is it a weapon or simply skill?
The test had begun. Christopher reached for a plate of beef, the same placid focus on his face as before. Christopher lifted the beef with his chopsticks and tossed it into the roaring column of fire. Oren's scanner chirped and flickered. Thermal anomaly detected, temperature exceeding 10,000 degrees.
There. The flame evasion. See how it parts for his hand? A directed field, exactly as I reported.
The scanner chimed again, detecting complex organic compounds. Maillard reaction byproducts detected.
A weapon capable of producing such precise Browning reactions. This conflicts with every known weapon's signature.
The beef landed back in the wok, seared and smoking. Christopher added flat rice noodles with a flick of his wrist.
The weapon masks its energy with simulated cooking aromas, a sophisticated deception.
But the organic signatures are genuine. If this is a weapon, it is the most delicious one I have ever encountered.
Christopher shook the wok one final time and slid the beef chow fun onto a plate. Steam curled into the neon-lit air. Oren stared at the plate, then at his scanner, then at Vex Kor. The answer was right in front of him. Oren's hand hovered over his scanner, then faltered. He could file a confirmation right now, erase the doubt with a single touch.
What are you waiting for? The evidence is clear. File the confirmation and let us shut this down.
If I file and it's wrong, I become the fool who reported a cook. My name becomes a joke.
You came for a weapon. You found beef chow fun. Why not at least taste what you've investigated?
Oren set the scanner aside. His claws reached for the chopsticks laid beside the plate.
What are you doing? You cannot risk contamination. It might be drugged.
With deliberate precision, Oren lifted a glistening strip of beef, the steam curling around his wrist.
If this is a trick, my tongue will know. If it's truth, I'll taste it.
He brought the meat to his lips and bit down. The woke hay flooded his senses instantly. His eyes widened. For a long moment, Orin Tall forgot he was a verification officer. He chewed slowly, as if decoding a cipher, then lifted a second piece of beef without a word.
No directed energy device I have ever studied produces flavors like these. This is entirely wrong for a weapon.
You are eating it. Did you not see the fire? The evasion pattern? This is a security risk, not a tasting menu.
Orin ignored him, taking a third bite. The noodles slid between his claws, rich with oil and char. He set the chopsticks down with a soft click, his expression composed, but his eyes held a new light.
Chef. What is the name of this technique? The flame, the tossing, how do you call it?
Wok, hai, the breath of the wok. It is not a weapon, just fire, motion, and time. My grandmother taught me.
Orin opened his communicator. The verification report glowed, the confirmation button still waiting for his thumb.
Not a confirmation, a retraction. The council must classify this correctly as advanced human cultural cuisine.
His claws moved across the holographic keys, drafting a retraction that would echo across the council and change everything. Orin pressed his thumb to the screen. The retraction launched into the council feed, a pulse of correction racing across the stars. Across the galaxy, a priority alert flashed in the Galactic Council chamber. Not a confirmation, but a retraction.
Retraction. The verification lead is overturning the weapons violation report.
Orin set his communicator down and turned to Vex Core, his voice steady and unyielding.
The report was defective. This is not a weapon. It is a cooking tradition called wok hei.
I was mistaken. The flame, the evasion, it looked so deliberate. I am sorry.
Vex Core's shoulders sagged, relief and humiliation warring on his face as the weight of his error settled.
No harm done. Now you know the fire's purpose. It only gives flavor.
In the council chamber, Dispatcher Veer frowned at the retraction, but a murmur of curiosity rippled through the delegates. The council would now deliberate, but one thing was clear: the Cantonese wok weapon was, in fact, a culinary masterpiece. The council chamber erupted into debate. Voices clashed over whether the false report warranted censure or laughter. One faction demanded Vex Core be formally reprimanded for alarming the council with a culinary misunderstanding.
The retraction stands. Scanner data shows complex organic compounds, Maillard byproducts. It is food, not a weapon.
The chamber quieted. The demand for punishment faded, replaced by a murmur of curiosity about this bizarre human art. A consensus emerged. No blame, but a new classification. A cultural addendum was drafted on the central display. The draft read, "Cantonese woke cooking is hereby classified as advanced human cultural cuisine, not a weapons system." Delegates nodded. The weapons violation was formally nullified, and a new chapter in human cuisine was officially recognized. In Hong Kong, Orin read the council's decision to Christopher and Vex Core. The envoy's knees nearly buckled in relief. The addendum awaited final ratification, but the message was already spreading. Earth's kitchen was no arsenal. Vex Core stared at the wok, no longer a weapon, but a bridge. The fire seemed to nod in return, a silent promise. The addendum went live on every council feed simultaneously, the words etched in light across the galaxy.
Addendum 4519B ratified. Cantonese woke cooking is now officially classified as advanced human cultural cuisine.
Galactic news networks seized the story. The headline, "Human chef cleared of weapons charge," splashed across holo screens. Within hours, alien Michelin reviewers began transmitting reservation requests. Their preliminary notes glowed with anticipation. At Forum Restaurant, the booking console chirped nonstop. Every seat at the counter was taken for weeks.
They're all coming because of my report. The mistake that launched a culinary revolution.
Christopher glanced at the crowded reservation list, then shrugged and turned back to the wok. On the restaurant wall, the first alien Michelin certificate arrived. a five-star seal in an unrecognizable script. One review read simply, "The most flavorsome terror I have ever experienced." Signed, Vex Core. The wok flared once more. No longer a weapon, but a beacon. And the galaxy had just booked a table. A few days later, a holo reporter cornered Vex Core outside Forum, asking about the infamous report that had shaken the council.
I saw 8-foot flames and thought it was a thermal suppression device. Then I tasted the beef chow fun, the most flavorsome terror I have ever experienced.
Terror? I just call it dinner.
The clip went viral. Vex Core, accidental ambassador, became a beloved figure in foodie circles across the galaxy. Aliens queued daily outside Forum, eager for their own taste of the weaponized cuisine. Vex Core returned often, a regular at the counter, no longer an envoy but a friend.
Chef, another round? I am still classifying flavors.
Anything for the galaxy's most honest reviewer.
And the wok flame danced on, no longer a weapon, but a welcome, the breath of a kitchen that had bridged worlds. Weeks later, a transmission arrived from the Veliuran homeworld. The subject line glowed with a single word: apprentice. A young Veliuran named Stephen had watched every interview. He begged to learn wok-hei from the chef who turned terror into triumph.
He wants to learn from me? Tell him to pack light. The flame is hot, but the heart must be patient.
A month later, Stephen stepped off a shuttle at Kowloon Spaceport, his white chef apprentice uniform still creased from the packaging. He entered Forum Restaurant with his eyes wide, the sizzle of the wok and the roar of the flame already filling his ears.
I am Stephen. I came to learn the breath of the wok.
Then you are in the right place. Watch first, then we begin.
Christopher handed him a spare apron and a red bandana. The fabric felt foreign in Stephen's claws, but his smile was bright.
This is where the fire becomes flavor. I will not flinch.
The first day of training began not with fire, but with a long, quiet lesson in knife work, patience and respect for the steel. After weeks of knife practice, Stephen's first wok test began. Christopher demonstrated the flame toss with quiet precision.
Like this. Wrist, not shoulder. The fire will respect you if you do not fear it.
Stephen took the wok, his claws trembling. He added oil, then a handful of beef.
Wrist, not shoulder. I can do this. I will not flinch. Here goes the breath of the wok.
He tilted the wok. The flame erupted, 8 feet of orange fury, but it did not bend for him. A puff of superheated air. Stephen squeaked. 2 black lines appeared where his eyebrows had been.
My eyebrows. I felt them go. That was close.
The fire gives, and it takes. Welcome to wok-hei.
Stephen touched his brow, then laughed, a nervous, joyful sound. The first lesson was over. The next would burn brighter. Days later, Stephen prepared his first dish for customers. A simple beef stir-fry, slightly dark on the edges but fragrant.
For table 6, beef with ginger and spring onion.
Vex Core, seated at the counter, lifted a piece with his chopsticks and chewed thoughtfully.
The char is decent. The flame's mark is there. You are learning. He said it's decent. A compliment from the man who called it a weapon.
Christopher, at the wok behind them, gave a small nod. No words were needed. Stephen's eyebrows were starting to regrow. 2 faint blue lines where the fire had kissed him.
My eyebrows will return. The wok-hei stays.
That night, the restaurant glowed with alien chatter, and the wok flame twisted high, a familiar, welcome column of light. It was once mistaken for a weapon. Now it was simply the breath of a kitchen that had bridged worlds.